Hello and welcome to Explore Hayat. Today, we have the pleasure of hosting a truly remarkable individual with an impressive track record in leadership, customer service, and personal development. He's the author of the popular book, Ace Your Service, Achieving Customer Engagement, a resource that has inspired countless individuals and organizations to elevate their customer service standards. His highly successful workshop, Ace Your Service, has been delivered to top multinational clients across a wide array of industries.
And you wake up in the morning and say, Alhamdulillah, I am so grateful. 1, to be alive. 2, to have my health. 3, to be able to do something that I enjoy. Is AI going to replace us? No, it's not.
No.
AI is going to replace people who don't know how to use AI.
Brilliant.
People get shaped for the rest of their career based on the relationship with their first manager.
Boss asked in the meeting when all of us were sitting, and he said, "Are you stupid? Why did you do this?"
A lot of managers and leaders, they think being tough, holding the whip is going to get the results. Yeah, you will get the results on a short-term basis. But how sustainable is that? Take a picture, capture the moment, but don't sit there the whole time looking. You're looking at the event through your screen.
Through your screen.
Oh, boss, you are amazing. You are wonderful. You know what I mean? And like, I'm like, oh man. During the break, he goes, he went like this. He signaled to him, like, oh yeah, like this. I've given you those 3 things. I believe in your potential. I care about you. I'm fair. But number 4 is, don't give me 99.99%. That makes me more angry than 80%. As a child, didn't have a perfect childhood. I grew up in war, constantly running away, constantly being bombarded.
Our guest today is not only a recognized executive coach and certified trainer, but also an active leadership development professional and a Hogan certified psychometrics assessor. His insights have been shared as a guest lecturer at renowned universities across the region. And he is a highly sought after motivational speaker on self-improvement, happiness, customer service, negotiations, and sales strategies. Clients of our today's guest include leading brands such as General Motors, Sony, Qualcomm, Microsoft, Canon, HTC, Takeda Pharmaceutical, Merck, and even Dubai and Abu Dhabi governments. Hayssam, so how do you feel coming to Explore Hayat today?
I feel relieved finally because we got to finally get to do it. We've scheduled it a couple of times and things happen, but yeah, I'm very happy. Thank you so much. Our pre-recorded conversations were, I think, amazing, and I'd like to continue it. It's a pleasure. I'm really enjoying it.
Really happy to have you in the show today.
Thank you.
Hayssam, since you are on Explore Hayat, where we dive into life experiences, what one life lesson from your journey that our audience can learn from?
Wow, it's a great question. I don't want to sound cliche, but the one thing is never take anything for granted. Never, ever take anything for granted. If you have a great job right now, don't take it for granted. If you have a great relationship, don't take it for granted. Because if you do, you forget to live the present. You forget to enjoy every single experience, good or bad. So for me is the one thing that all of those ups and downs that where life taught me great things because of successes or great things because of failures is the fact that the minute I took my eye off the ball and when I took things for granted, whether it's my relationships or with my work, what I do, I'm no longer an active member in that beautiful story because I'm just a passenger. But when you are living in a state of gratitude and you wake up in the morning and say, Alhamdulillah, I am so grateful. 1, to be alive. 2, to have my health. 3, to be able to do something that I enjoy that doesn't feel tedious or difficult. Live in the present moment. Just be here. For example, and I've said that on many podcasts before and many conversations, what I'm doing with you right now is the most important thing right now.
Not caring about what is going to happen next to my office what happened in the morning, your last project meeting?
Not at all.
You don't care about anything.
Not at all. Do you know why? Because if you do that, if you think that way, then every ounce of energy goes into what you're doing right now, and it pays off. So in one of the books that I'm publishing very soon, it's called The Journey of Emotions, I wrote something that says, be in the present, and the future will reflect how you live the now. That's the only control we have. So whatever energy you put into this pays off. If I go to my next meeting, it becomes the most important thing that I'm doing. If I'm going to dinner with my wife tonight, it becomes the most important thing, because it allows you to live and to put every ounce of energy and every effort in what you're doing right now. Unless you have a time machine, you can fly back and forth. That's a different story.
True.
But yeah, I
living
think
in the present. You
Yes.
mentioned about being happy. Now, when you mentioned about people that take things for granted, relationships for granted, everything for granted, health for granted, why do they take things and everything for granted?
Why do they do that? I think people have different reasons why they take people for granted. For example, when you are living in a life where there's not much danger or difficulty or stress, you tend to take things for granted, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's one.
Yeah.
Another perspective, you take things for granted because you are entitled. You feel that you're entitled. And you get a lot of... I've seen a lot of people who feel entitled. I'm entitled to this, rather than that sense of, how do I earn this? How do I work hard to achieve it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's either entitlement or maybe just living in I call it the Hakuna Matata sort of life that doesn't give you, it makes you become in touch with reality. So, and you know what? And everything is beautiful. You know, the little cup of tea that I'm having right now is beautiful because I'm having this, along with it, a great conversation.
True.
I get to talk about things that I love. I get to listen to your stories. So this cup of tea becomes the most important cup of tea. This conversation becomes the most important conversation, and therefore the dynamics of what is happening is awesome. Think about that. Apply it to everything that you do in your life. Even if you're cooking a meal, it becomes the most important thing that you're doing in your life. What do you think is going to happen to that meal? It's going to be the most delicious thing you've ever cooked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Right. So the people, those who are taking that food and is still looking at their mobile or watching some movie or something. So how would you say that?
I mean, okay. I mean, that for me, we're all guilty of it somehow. You know, it's becoming, our mobile phones have become an important element of our lives. But yeah, it does take away from that experience. It does take away from the conversation. It does take away from the now.
And I realized, you know, while you're taking your dinner, any meal, and if you are connected with something else, you just finish the meal, you don't even realize it that you finished it. But at the same time, if you stop doing what you were doing, you allocate your good amount of time for that meal, you really enjoy the taste of it.
Absolutely, 100%.
You know? So that's being in the moment and being grateful for what you're having it even.
Yeah. Have you ever seen people like at a concert or an event, or they're watching something, they're videotaping it?
Yeah, hypnotized.
And for me, you no longer pay attention to the actual experience. Okay, take a picture, capture the moment, but don't sit there the whole time looking. You're looking at the event through your screen.
Through your screen, true.
And the whole reason why you're there, whether it's a birthday party or concert or whatever event, the whole reason you're there is to put yourself in the middle of it and to experience that energy of the event. And, you know, so yeah, sometimes we do
Why
things.
do the people that do it? They record it for others to enjoy the same way they are enjoying. So neither they are enjoying probably nor the people they will share with.
Look, there's a lot of vanity right now. I think in social media has made everybody who an influencer want to be, and there's a lot of vanity. People display their lives online. I am extremely active on social media for my business because I have to.
Yeah.
On my personal account, I have closed account that I only accept. But you know what? The reason why I capture my experiences is because, and I make videos and reels and, you know, my travel and the food that I cook and the experiences with my family. It's both to celebrate and to create a timeline for my children, for my great-grandchildren, to give them an indicator. Live your life.
True.
Don't sit in your room and on your phone and living a virtual life and having virtual experiences, virtual friends. You know, this generation doesn't go outside and play. Do you remember how we used to leave in the morning and come back at night?
Absolutely.
We go a million things. We get in so much trouble, and we do so many crazy things. And so for me, it's to show my grandchildren and my kids, live your life, experience, because I would much rather have an experience than something tangible. Okay, nice tangible, nice car, nice house, nice watch are beautiful things to have. But in my opinion, experiences are a lot more valuable. So that's my take on it.
That's your take on. What life experience, I would say, shaped your approach to leadership and customer service? Because we have still a lot of your experience from the professional life. So today we want to talk about more on that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say, how did you climb so quickly in the hospitality industry? And I was a young kid managing a hotel. It's the managers that I worked with. So what shaped me is I've worked with some amazing managers that really, really gave me the confidence and mentored me and put me in situations where I had to use every tool available. And I also had some horrible managers. I mean, I got to tell you, but we also, horrible. I call them the dinosaurs, but we also learn from them.
True.
So for me, it's great managers that I worked with, and the bad managers that I worked with taught me what to be and what not to be. With regards to personal experiences in my hospitality industry, I can tell you a million stories, but the friendships that I forged with guests that were so difficult at the beginning, impossible to please. And I used to say, I'm going to make these guests my best friends by the time they check out. And that could only be done when you truly love what you do, when you truly, are into it, and your energy and your passion. Then you take the most difficult person and turn them into your best friends.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Even though it is difficult, but you always give it a try.
Yeah, absolutely. But give it a try.
And sometimes you find people, they are not ready to connect with you anyway.
That's their problem.
Yeah.
Not yours.
But you still find such people.
But what you do is, because look, I did a video from the Maldives. I was walking on the beach talking about, I received a feedback from one of my clients. I was on an exit interview doing a culture transformation program that actually didn't work. It failed. And I'm doing another video on why do culture change programs fail. And the feedback I got was, Hayssam, you give too much. And I thought to myself, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with giving?
Only an abundant person can give.
You know what I mean? Like I live a life of abundance. I do things with abundance. And when I give because I care. I give because I want to see success. I give because that's my ikigai. That's my raison d'être, the reason for being. All right. And I give because my legacy is to change the world one person at a time, whether it's a client or individual. So, but I thought about it. I said, if you give to please people, then you're giving for the wrong reasons. Givers don't give to please, give because they draw pleasure from giving. Now, as a taker, however, a lot of takers take because they're selfish. They take to take advantage. But takers should take and appreciate and not question it. You know what I mean? This is where I draw my strength from, honestly. It's like, what else is there in this life? What do you take with you?
So true. I mean,
what do you take with you? Your cars and your house?
Nothing. You can't take nothing with you.
Nothing.
That's what you become with your own, the way, the deeds, what you are really displaying in this world.
Yeah.
So the things which you mentioned is the role of a sun, which is just giving the sunshine to everyone. Now it's your choice.
Yeah.
You want to take advantage, or you want to sit in a closed room.
You want to get tanned, and you want to be pale for the rest of your life. Yeah.
We have a lot of young audiences. So for our younger listeners, what advice would you give to recent graduates transitioning to their first job?
Very, very good. And I love this question. Thank you so much. So the advice that I give either to young individuals transitioning to new jobs, or even people who are transitioning from existing jobs to another job, whenever you are in this stage of transitioning, the relationship with your manager is the most important. Let me tell you the trap that we fall into. So here I am, I get hired by a new company. I've got this new manager. By the time I figure out the manager's style, his personality, the way what he or she loves and don't love, their expectations, their sort of standards, you know what I mean? You've already made so many mistakes. And those mistakes could be good, depending if you have a great manager, they understand that you're learning from mistakes. But if you don't, it could be a very, very miserable experience. So my advice is communicate. Communication, especially with the right intent, fixes everything. For example, you go to your new manager, especially if it's a new manager or you're just brand new, starting your career, because I truly believe that people get shaped for the rest of their career based on the relationship with their first manager. This is it's like almost like an imprint. So if you have a great manager as your first manager, it's going to influence you quite effectively because that's who you're going to become.
True.
And if you have a horrible manager at the beginning, especially if you're with them for a long time, I think it's going to injure you, just like as a kid who gets sort of emotionally injured. It's going to be with them for the rest of their life. So be very careful. So what I do is, in order for you to not fall into these steps, I give them this 4 advices. 4 things you need to do with your manager as you transition. Sit down with them and thank them for the opportunity first. That's outside of the 4 steps. Thank you very much. I'm very happy. I'm excited. I'm enthusiastic. I'm very committed to this. Speak those what I call power words: enthusiastic, committed. Are looking forward. I'm eager to contribute. Those are the good words to use.
Yeah.
Then you say, listen, boss, what are your most important priorities in your business agenda? What are the most important things for you? What are your top business priorities? If the manager says, why are you asking? It's because I'm going to make them mine, because those are going to be my focus to help you achieve the business agenda in whatever way possible. In whatever small, if I'm just a beginner, I'm going to contribute to those priorities as much as possible. Now, why do we ask this question is because, believe it or not, if you're a corporate employee working for a company, whether you like it or not, your job is to deliver on the management agenda. Whether you agree with it, whether you don't agree with it,
true.
You're not going to change what the strategy is on the business agenda. Your job is to support the management agenda. So that's the first question.
They comply with the compliance program.
That's it.
And that's all you have to do.
Number 2 is how does success look like to you? What does success look like? How do you see me as successful? So now the reason why I'm asking this question is you're tapping into your manager's expectations, what they deem correct, right, and make them, and you take those and you make them as part of your daily repertoire, your daily behavior, your daily language, your daily.
You align yourself with his success, your own success.
So now you are managing expectation. You know the priorities, supporting them. You know what they expect. The third one is, how do you prefer to be communicated with? How do you want for me to communicate with you? Because some managers want a daily brief, some managers want a weekly brief, some managers want an in-depth report at the end of the month. Whatever it is, some managers say, hey, let's just have a quick talk at the end of the day to kind of get. So we all communicate differently. So now you are aligning with the manager's communication style. So they don't say, like, what is this guy doing? Where is he? How come he never communicates with me? And the fourth one is all right, boss, based on these 3 questions, this is what you expect from me. This is when you put your personal brand to the fore. Expect for me to be always on time, one of the first people in the office. Expect for me to be detail-oriented. Expect for me to deliver on everything that we discussed today. You framed your relationship from the get-go. And of course, when you go back to a job, you act accordingly. That saves you, for those of you who are starting your careers or taking on new jobs, saves you a lot of headache and potential conflict. And.
That's so true. And, just sharing from my own experience, when I joined my first job, I started my career with a Japanese corporate. It's a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
So my boss, when he took the interview, he liked 2 things. He told me later on. One thing was, you were very clear in your answer in the interview.
Nice.
He said, I've got two jobs. One is outdoor, the other was in indoor. Which one would you like to do? So most of the people were coming with the answer, okay, I can be good at both of them. It's up to you, your choice. But you were so clear. You said, because I have done my graduation in marketing, and marketing starts from the market, so I would prefer outdoor job. He said, I loved it. I wrote like full marks for you. The second thing I saw you were quite fit. And I knew that once he's physically fit, he's going to be fit in his mind and he's going to work hard. He said, I picked up these 2 points in you, apart from whatever questions he asked.
Yeah.
But the same boss. When I joined the company, I was on probation, and I still remember in maybe like fourth or fifth meeting when all seniors were there. I was the junior most, and my senior advised me something, and I was just following his instructions, not my boss instruction, but the senior advice. The senior advised me for something which I did. From my side, I didn't do anything wrong, but boss asked in the meeting when all of us were sitting, and he said, "Are you stupid? Why did you do this?" And I looked at that. Nobody said stupid to me ever in my life.
Yeah.
I just looked at him, and I looked at my senior, and he looked down, and I didn't say a word to him. I kept quiet because I knew that was his mistake, which is coming to me now.
Yes.
I was just following the instructions.
Yes.
As you mentioned about the communication, I kept quiet. We discussed about things. I took everything. It was too hard on me. The next morning, I came first to the office, and I said, "Boss, I want to talk to you about something." He said straight away, "Come to the conference room." I went to the conference room, and I said, "I just want you to let you know I'm not stupid. This is the first thing.
Yeah.
And whatever happened."
This is your direct boss, or is this
my direct boss?
Your direct boss.
Yeah, and he was a GM, by the way.
Okay.
In the Japanese system.
But he's not the one who told you, "Are you stupid?" He's not.
He's the one.
He's the one.
Same one.
Ah, okay.
Not my senior who taught me a few things which I did. And so this Japanese boss, he was a GM, and in Japanese system, this is a more flat organization system. So the GM all come under him. That's it.
Yeah, it's very
not
hierarchical.
like a big hierarchy. It's a flat hierarchy.
Yeah. But the GM is the ultimate.
He's the ultimate. So he came and he said, "Okay, tell me." Then I told him, whatever happened, it's not because I did something. I did exactly, I followed the instructions which I were given before. So it was communication with him. He listened to me, and I said to him, "Look, I don't think that you should hire a person if you think that I'm stupid. I'm here to make my career, and I want to grow myself. This is my first ever job after my graduation. So if you think that I'm not good enough, then I'm ready to leave today. That's why I wanted to tell you." Believe me or not, he took it so positive. He said, "Nobody ever came and discussed this way, the way you're discussing."
Doing it.
And I want to tell you, why did I say that? Because most of the people, unless you tell them this way, they do not change. But you came and you explained me, and he gave me so much regard for that.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing, because one of the things whenever I do, I've got a program called, there's a workshop that people love for some reason. It's called Managing Upwards, how to manage your manager.
How to manage your manager, beautiful.
Where I talk about the 5 different styles of management and what are their pros and cons. And if you want to learn more about that, go to my YouTube channel, Hayssam Al Amine, and go to the playlist. There's 7 videos on how to manage your manager.
How to manage your manager, beautiful.
And during the workshop, what I talk about is, if you want to be someone with one of the things that where your personal brand is quite positive and mature, I always used to say, praise and support your manager in public and criticize him in private.
Yeah, and this goes to every relationship.
Absolutely. Everything, especially in management, because that shows loyalty. It shows a lot of emotional intelligence. It shows a lot of maturity. But when you close the door, hey boss, listen, what you just said is pretty horrible, and let me tell you how I feel about it. Let me tell you what my commitments, let me tell you what I'm going to, and if you feel anything that is against that, let's talk about it. Let's hash it out. I love that, because when my employees come and face me with this, sometimes we make mistakes. I mean, we're not perfect. But when my employees comes and face me, I have a lot more regard, like your manager said. No one has ever come and told me that.
Yeah.
That requires a lot of, I think, guts and but also requires a lot of, I think, you care, because most people will hold it in. Yeah. And it turns into an emotional cancer.
Right.
That's the countdown of that relationship. You're on countdown, because you're going to hold it. Yeah. You're going to sort of let it eat you from the inside. Yeah. It's going to affect everything that
your
you
performance,
do.
your relationship, everything.
Your mindset, your words, oh my God. And once you get that bug, it's so difficult to shake it.
So true.
Unless You take it out and you hash it out.
You have to, you have to clear your mind, unless you cannot move on.
Yeah, it's kind of stuck right here.
So true. So once again, for the young ones who are looking at this program, of course, how can young professionals build a strong personal brand that sets them apart in today's competitive job market?
Yes, very nice. So I talk about personal branding a lot, and personal branding is a huge topic. It's not only your online presence, it's not how you walk and how you talk. It's not only about what you do and how you do it. Personal branding starts with you being a genuine individual. So start with your principles and values. What are those things that you truly, truly believe in? We all grew up on a long list of principles and values. Identify your top 3 or 4. For example, mine are passion, empathy. Number 3 is attention to detail and sort of this quality. I don't do anything. So if you say, for example, passion, be the most passionate person you know. You know what I mean? If you say empathy, be the most empathetic you know.
Right.
Be the walking, talking signboard of what you believe in, and stay consistent to that. That's how your real personal brand starts to show, because you're true to yourself and true to the principles and values that you believe. You're not being someone or something for someone else, which is pretty ugly, to be honest with you. So, and to give you a little example, I see a lot of people online. They do a lot of videos, and they have that one persona. They're always like in the same tonality, the same way, and they're always talking about like this. And honestly, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but this is how I see it.
Right.
Are you like that in life? Are you always like, like this? No. I mean, passionate, yes, I'm always passionate. But, we go through disappointment. We go through happiness. We go through sadness.
Yeah.
So one thing is, for that advice for these people, is make sure that you identify your principles and values. Number 2, see what you're passionate about. What is it that you love doing? Things that you love to read about constantly. And you can lose yourself.
Right.
And make that part of your journey. Right? And then ask yourself, how do I want to be perceived? What kind of value do I bring to the table? How do I want people to feel around me?
Right. What persona you want to create.
Yeah, and start from there. But first and foremost, stay true to your principles and values. Don't veer off of them.
What qualities do you believe are essential for effective leadership in today's workplace?
There's a lot of great qualities. I'm just going to give you the 4 or 5 great qualities. Number 1, and I say that all the time, and I will not change what I say. I've said it before. Number 1 is great leaders care about their people.
Nice.
And how do you show that you care? Simply listen. Understand, be empathetic, practice empathy. Empathy is one of the most sought after quality in today's leaders, right? That's numbers. They care about their people. Number 2 is that they believe in their people's potential, meaning that if I hire you and if you're on my team, I'm going to show you that I believe in potential by challenging you, by giving you additional tasks, responsibilities, not by micromanaging you. It's just like, you're here for a reason. Go, and when you do make a mistake, you're going to learn from it, right? So they believe in people's potential. Number 3 is they're fair. Fairness.
Oh, fairness, yeah.
They're fair. They don't play the card of, favoritism. They don't rely on a small group of people to get the job done, therefore alienating the rest of the team. So they have fairness. They practice fairness in everything, in their decision making, in their delegation, in their responsibility giving, whatever it is, they're fair. Now, the first 3 are what I call Mr. and Mrs. Nice Guy qualities. But the 4th quality that I really appreciate is they expect excellence. It means I've given you those 3 things. I believe in your potential. I care about you. I'm fair. But number 4 is don't give me 99.99%. That makes me more angry than 80%. Give me 120. Give me excellence, man. Push yourself to because I will be there to support you. I'll listen to you. I'm fair. I will believe in your potential. I'll support you. I'll coach you. Give me 120% is my starting line. The 5th one is I think they are credible. They've got credibility. They're trustworthy individuals. And credibility and trust is one of the rarest currencies there is right now. How many people do we trust?
So true.
How many people that we can count them on one hand.
Yeah.
But the bigger question for leaders is, how many of your team members trust you? Can you put a number on that? It's almost impossible.
Yeah, true.
So those are the 5 qualities.
These are beautiful qualities for a leader. Do understand that. But what happens when you really rely on your employees on all those things, but still you don't get the right results? Then how do you deal with that?
The word rely comes with certain things that must exist. When you say somebody is reliable and I rely on them, they have to tick certain boxes. They have to be competent.
Right.
They have to be willing, right? They have to have the skill. They have to, whatever the experience is, then they become reliable.
Yeah.
Reliability is one of the trustworthy characteristics. So if I want to rely, you better rely on the right people. Now, you don't rely on people that are still learning or still growing, or they are beginning their career. What you do is you support those people, you coach them, and you mentor them. You know what I mean? So they become later on reliable. Now, to answer your question, you rely on someone that does not deliver. What's the first thing you should ask? What is the first thing that should go to your mind? The worst thing you should do is start to shoot from the hip. And a lot of managers do. They shoot from the hip. What's going on? Why is this? And they flip out. But what managers should do is, hold on a second. This is where empathy comes in. Hey, Dr. Kashif, come in. Let's talk about this. What's going on? You all right? I've noticed that your performance has slipped a little bit. Talk to me. Let's hash it out. What's going on? Tell me this is not more powerful than somebody say, hey, listen, man, this is enough. This is the second month that you've dropped the ball. If you don't deliver next month, that's it. Now tell me which one is better, honestly.
Absolutely, of course. You have to. Here comes the communication, empathy. You have to talk things out.
And the first scenario allows people to open up, allows people to tell you where they need help, allows people to really to look at you as someone who is a humane leader, not just somebody who's driving cattle. Sorry for this analogy, but a lot of managers and leaders, they think being tough, holding the whip is going to get the results. Yeah, you will get the results on a short-term basis. But how sustainable is that? Don't be a tough guy. That for me is just, it's not acceptable. Now, can you practice tough love? Absolutely. If I need to be hard on you today, listen, Kashif, I'm not happy. I'm very frustrated. However, the reason why I'm not happy, I'm frustrated, is because I'm afraid. I'm afraid that we're going to fail. I'm afraid for you. I'm afraid for me. I'm afraid, so help me. So you are allowed to express frustration and anger, but do it with style. Don't do it with abrasiveness. Don't do it to hurt people. Don't do it to intimidate them. So that's what I'm saying earlier, that anger is an emotion that we're allowed to feel, but do it right and say, I'm angry because I'm afraid. And I'm afraid because of you, because of me. So whenever you declare your intent, your motive has to be clear. The agenda has to serve the common purpose. And then your behavior is justifiable. Yeah,
this is so beautiful. If we take it in this way, I'm just taking in a way when the God asks us to do something, he doesn't ask for himself, but he said, it's not good for you.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you this is prohibited for you.
Yeah.
But this is okay for you. Because I'm your creator. I formed the system.
Yes.
I know where are your weaknesses and strengths. So that's why I'm guiding you for your betterment.
Yeah.
So it's similar kind of a concept.
Yeah.
Okay, now knowing these things, probably you and me understand at this stage, at this age, after having a lot of, bag full of experience.
Yeah.
How can young professionals start developing these leadership skills and in their early careers?
Well, I was mentioning earlier about be willing, right?
Willingness is the first thing. Yeah.
If you have to really want to become a better manager, you have to want to become a better leader, and develop a growth mindset.
Yeah.
And remember, I told you I'm going to give you a little affirmation that I repeat to myself, and this is a tiny one of the affirmations. Developing a growth mindset, meaning that number one, you need to know where you're going. Understand what are those things you want to achieve, so you can then lay down a path with certain milestones. So I want to become a general manager from now to 5 years. So don't just sit there and say, I want to become a general manager and I'll do whatever it takes. No, draft your journey and say, this is milestone 1. What do I need from milestone 0 to milestone 1? What are those skills? What are this knowledge? Be the eternal student, but deliver. Don't be the eternal student, always learning, but never delivering. But be an eternal student. Like all the leaders that I work with and everybody, the managers, I'm talking about the good ones, Kashif, the good ones. You know what they are? They're eternal students of leadership. They're constantly improving themselves. They're constantly reading. That's number 1. Number 2 is once you do that is have really good, powerful conversations with yourself on a daily basis. When you fail, say, how can I make sure that this doesn't happen again? And what did I learn? And what can I do in order that failure does not repeat? If you succeed, you say, this is temporary. What can I do to make sure that this success continuously knocks on my door? Right? The other thing I suggest is that at the end of each day, before you go to sleep, so you're not in repeat mode, call it in routine, boring routine mode. Just repeat this to yourself. And I do that all the time. What have I done today that's better than yesterday? And what can I do tomorrow that's better than today? You better have answers to these 2 questions. When you wake up in the morning, you have a sense of purpose, you have a sense of direction, and you're changing your life one baby step at a time. Don't expect that things are going to come your way just like that. Just like you order Uber in 15 minutes is there, or 5 minutes. It's like you order a meal is there. You have to be careful. I'm not against technology and getting things quickly, but in terms of achieving what you want, it has to be a very structured, disciplined, clear approach on what you want to achieve in life.
Beautiful answer. I really like this approach. So first of all, they have to understand that they can lay their path, they can create their own future.
Yes.
Then second thing, they have to reflect back for their mistakes and what they have done right and what they have done wrong.
Yes.
And the third beautiful thing which you mentioned is, again, it's so beautiful that before sleeping, what better I have done since
what have I done
yesterday.
Today that's better than yesterday?
And what I'm going to do better tomorrow
than today.
That is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Such a beautiful.
Even if it's a small tweak, the way I wrote that email, the way I handled this question, the way I helped this person, what have I done today? It's better than yesterday.
That's really,
you have
really
to have answers.
What are some strategies for fostering innovation and creativity within a team?
Engage them. Feedback, man. Feedback and tell them, what do you think? That's how you tap into the creative genius of your team. Get people on board very, very quickly. Ask, what do you think? How do you see things? And to give you an example, every time we had an issue or a problem at work and I have the solution, I often find myself rushing into, hey guys, we need to do this. And the minute I say, hold on a second, don't be that person that you always talk against. Hey guys, come here. I've got a problem. What do you think we should do? The minute you say that, you get so much input and you get so many great ideas, especially if it's a problem that you don't deal with yourself. It's a problem that you don't own, but the team owns. It's the problem that the team is facing. I found that people who own the problem often have the solution.
True.
Because they're dealing with it every day. So for me, creativity, innovation is not about, look, there's 2 types of creativity. One is God-given. Beethoven wrote his first symphony, at the age of 5 or 6 or something like that, ridiculous. That's a God-given, that's called the divine intervention. That's the kind of talent that not everybody are blessed with. The other types of creativity and innovation is purely about healthy dialogue and creating as many options as possible. Discussing options. What else can we do? How can we do it faster, better, more inspiring? That for me that's what makes a creative team.
True. Specifically talking about the young ones, those who are in transition, now they are in the final year of the university, so they're getting into their professional life. When you are a child, you are learning everything from your parents, and this is how you make your personality. Then, as you mentioned earlier, that once you get into the first job, what happens? Your first boss, what are you going to learn from him? This is going to make yourself the future boss.
Frame that relationship with him from the beginning. Manage expectations.
Exactly. So how good it is that how lucky probably you are to get the right boss from the beginning, because you're going to be maybe not the copy, but you pick up lots of things from him.
Yeah.
So if I say, what are some common mistakes young professionals make when starting their careers, and how can they avoid them?
Can I answer this with a scenario?
Absolutely.
Okay. This is typically, and again, for those young listeners listening to us, I'm not stonewalling you. I'm simply using this scenario as a typical scenario.
All right.
So I've coached a lot of young people. In fact, I have a family that said, Hayssam, could you coach our children? These are university kids, 2 boys, incredibly intelligent. And they needed, the father needed an external voice to connect with them. And so I have experience. I also have raised, and I'm raising kids. My oldest is 32. My youngest is almost 30. My second was almost 30. My daughter is almost 14, and my youngest is 3. So I have a direct access to the younger generation.
Right.
But the scenario is as follows. Let's call the employee, the new young generation employee, let's call him Ahmed. All right. Hey, Ahmed, how you doing? Yeah, I'm doing all right. I go, what's going on? You tell me, is everything okay? Yeah, I'm just not feeling it. Why? I just don't feel like I'm making a difference. I don't feel like I'm making an impact. I'm not really happy with what I do with my job. I go, how come? Because I'm not just really into it. So what's up then? So how long have you been in your job? 6 months. So they think that the minute they hit the ground, they're going to make this massive change. They're going to take these quantum leaps towards, contribution and make 6 months.
Yeah.
So the mistake is slow down and smell the coffee. And that doesn't mean that be lazy and don't be aggressive and don't be, sort of driven. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that slow down and smell the roses. You know what I mean? And absorb everything. Every experience that you go to, your first job, learn from it as much as possible. That's number 1. Number 2, learn that everybody has a pace. So therefore, do not compare yourself with another colleague or another person on the team and say, well, how come they get to do this and how come they know this and I don't? Because it's going to destroy you, honestly, because we all have our own pace. Colonel Sanders established KFC at the age of 72 years old.
Yeah, true. Exactly.
Talk about pace, right?
Yeah.
72 years.
Absolutely.
So the mistake is don't compare yourself. Again, go back to the other one is that learn where you're going, draft your journey, your path, put on those, place those sort of very clear milestones and just enjoy the ride and live in the present moment. Don't rush it.
Beautiful answer. Basically, this is a problem we see because the job market is changing. It's so dynamic. Things are changing, and the mindset is changing. The patience are being lost. And so the young professionals, in order for them to be adaptable and resilient, I think you mentioned these things, they cover pretty much, that they have to learn every day and absorb everything. Don't be in a rush, be patient. Don't compare. Everyone has got his own pace. So do not compare with others, what they're doing, what you are doing, and draft your clear journey. Where you are going. This is wonderful answer. I mean,
I go back down to just put it on a vision board.
Put it on a vision board. You see every day, you know what you're going to do, where you're going to. Beautiful. So what role does continuous learning play in achieving long-term career success?
Well, I mean, I think the sentence itself completes itself. Continuous learning and long-term success.
So
they go hand in hand. Remember, I said earlier, the great managers and leaders that I work with are eternal students of leadership. They are really constantly reading, and they set time aside for learning more and to see what's going on. And they read books, and they, and if you don't like to read, there's audiobooks. If you don't like audiobooks, there's executive summaries. If you don't like executive summaries, there's info bites. If you don't like info bites, there are infographics, So set a time. Just like you set a time to eat, set a time to sleep, set a time to exercise, set a time where you do this. Reflect on your day. Read something. Yeah. And you are on your way of continuous development, continuous learning. Also, not only that, because you learn through active learning by reading and researching, but also you learn by seeking feedback.
Yeah.
So if you want to be successful, go to your family, go to your team, go to your friends, say, hey guys, I would love to have some feedback but don't say, oh, tell me how I'm doing. Can you give me feedback whether I'm a good manager or not? That's pretty weak, I think. Seek feedback for specific reasons. You say, hey, listen, I want to become a better manager, right? So here we go. Tell me what I should stop doing, start doing, continue doing. Right?
Very nice.
Start, continue. Now, if you have a great team, they will tell you. If you've managed a team that is not afraid to speak, they will say, hey, boss, you need to stop worrying so much, because when you worry, you become a little bit of pain in the neck. So, just don't worry. Let us do our jobs. That's the stop. Start giving us some more responsibility. Don't feel that you have to handle everything yourself. We got you, boss. And continue being this motivator. Continue, engaging us. If you do that on a regular basis, that's learning.
What holds back to these young ones from asking these questions? This is like an insecure feeling they have.
Young managers young?
Young managers, young executive, I would say.
Yeah. I mean,
or the ego comes in front.
Definitely. I think they're if you're afraid to hear real feedback, because you've framed it in a way, stop, start, continue.
Yeah.
It's imbalanced. Means they're going to give you the positives. They're going to give you the areas of improvements. You're going to give you what is lacking. I think what stops anyone from getting feedback is ego.
It's ego.
I'll give you a little scenario, and this is a funny story. So at one of my workshops, in one of my leadership development workshops, I was running a 3-day extensive workshop on building high performance teams, and something called the Quantum Leap of Leadership, which is one of our flagship courses that we deliver. We deliver it to dozens and dozens of companies. So what we do is I call it the hot seat. So we'll do a round. We put seats in a circle, and the hot seat in the middle, and starts with the leader. All right, boss, listen, you're going to sit down and you're going to get feedback from everybody. Stop, start, continue, stop, start, continue. Now, I've run this exercise many times, and about 90% of the time people go, Hayssam, that was such a powerful learning for me. These are the managers and the leaders that come to me. It was so powerful, I never knew. I'm going to make this as a regular exercise, okay, which is great. The other 10%, and this has happened recently, the big guy sat in the middle, and everybody was just giving him, I call him the song and dance, the poem. Oh, boss, you are amazing. You are wonderful. You know what I mean? And like, I'm like, oh, man. And then suddenly, one guy decided to speak the truth because he was inspired by this. He said, listen, I want to give my manager some feedback. So he wanted to stop, and he told him, you need to stop micromanaging us. You just give us a bit of space. And start giving us more responsibilities, and continue being supportive, because you are supportive. Now, the only thing that boss picked up on is that stop micromanaging us. And then during the break, he goes, he went like this. He signaled to him, like this. And of course, the guy, he turned 3 shades of red, pink. He was embarrassed. And do you think that he was joking? So I went to the leader, and I said, it was during lunch break. I said, I really need to talk to you. I said, this thing that you did, how do you think it impacted the guy? I said, look at how his reaction.
Yeah, true.
I said, you're hiding your real emotions behind the joke. You need to fix it. Because you're sending not just a message to him, you're sending a message to everybody is, I don't take feedback.
Yeah.
And if I don't like it, I'm going to hide behind the joke. Luckily, the guy was incredibly open about it, and he stopped, and this is why I respect him. He goes, actually, you're right. I'm going to fix it. And he did. Throughout the rest of the day, he kept on referring back to this person, asking for his opinion, bringing him in conversations. And at the end of the day, I said, how does that feel? Because it feels great. I said, now adopt that methodology. Get people to give you feedback. Listen to them, and you will learn and you'll evolve better as a leader.
Brilliant.
Because you're right.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
We have been talking quite interesting stuff, but maybe somewhere people are going to take it deeper and hard on them because it's all learning. So now I have got a segment. It's a quick fire round. So out of context question I'm going to ask you, because I know you are a good
quick fire
chef as well.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So I will ask you quickly and quick response I ask from you. So what's your favorite dish to cook as a chef?
I don't have one.
Don't have one? Okay. Books or movies?
The Speed of Trust.
Okay. One habit you would like to break?
Not spend too much time on my phone.
Right. If you had $1 billion to spend in 24 hours, what would you do with it?
I'll help orphans.
Help orphans.
Yes.
Beautiful. Very nice. All questions answered very well. And I would say the rapid fire, it showed your insight, how do you see things. Okay, so let's move on to, I want to ask more questions about adaptability, resilience, negotiation, because these kind of things people are going to learn from you. Sure. And definitely there's a lot of learning, especially for the young ones. Once they start their careers, they don't know what resilience means. Nothing comes the way you want. So you have to build that resilience in yourself. So what are your top tips for building resilience and staying motivated during tough times?
I'm going to base it on this time on extremely personal experience.
Sure.
Okay, so as a child, didn't have a perfect childhood. I grew up in war, constantly running away, constantly being bombarded. So it does a number on you, correct? I also grew up with a learning disability with dyslexia.
Okay.
And people didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was till much later.
So you can tell now what it was?
Yes. Now I know what dyslexia is, but back in the days, dyslexic kids were labeled as not very smart, right? So what I did was, to cover up for my lack of performance at school, I covered up with my personality, and I used to make people laugh, and even the most toughest teachers laugh. So that mental resilience started with, what do I do with that disability? How do I adjust? I didn't realize I was doing it, right? But then you realize later that in order for you to be resilient, and what broke me away from that sort of that dyslexia was a teacher, Madame Juliette, who came in and made me feel like the most important kid in the world, who made me feel smart, who gave me responsibilities, who made me feel smarter than the smartest girl in school. So for me, in order to be resilient, make sure that you exist and you surround yourself with people that add value to your life, that you're motivated by them. Remove toxicity, because toxicity becomes almost like a killer of drive and motivation. So if you have a toxic relationship, get out. Because you can't change toxicity. It's not your responsibility. If you're in an environment where you're not motivated, if you can motivate yourself and if you're self-motivated, get out. But if you're not self-motivated, then don't wait for somebody to motivate you. So it's a very fine line here. So that's resilience, in my opinion, is being in the right environment. Be 100% self-motivated. Eliminate toxic elements in your life, because that gives you the self-confidence to really overcome anything, whether to overcome failures or to sustain successes. You need a good environment, or to create one for yourself. And that's what it is, because whenever you are positive, you go, okay, no problem. We've got this issue. All right, what can I do about it? What are my options? What are the things within my control? That's what resilience is, to be able to pivot very quickly to whatever situation you're in. And it starts with the conversations with yourself. If you have horrible conversations with yourself, you're always victimizing yourself, well, good luck with being resilient. You're going to be the victim, where life is going to throw a million lemons at.
You have to watch over your self-talks. You have to understand
100%.
What are you going to listen to.
100%.
One thing, people that had been asking me these questions, I asked this question from other guests as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you because you mentioned about the toxic relationship. And at times, people, they go through these toxic relationships are not far-flung people. They are within a family. So the question comes, what I'm going to do with this toxic relationship? You always say, stay away from them.
I got to be very careful with this. You see, the most toxic people happen to be the closest people to us. At work, you can say, this colleague, you know what, I'm going to limit my interaction with them. Forget it. I'm not going to talk to them. If it's a friendship, you're not my friend anymore because you're toxic. Because if it's family members, and I know especially in our culture, family is our second to our religion, right? Yeah. We got our God in our religion and family.
True.
We live those family values, but sometimes you have a family member that is extremely toxic. So you have the right. If you cannot eliminate them from your life, right? You cannot.
No.
You cannot eliminate your mother.
No.
If she's toxic, it happens, guys. It happens. But I've seen toxic parents, treat their kids with such toxicity. I've seen toxic fathers, toxic parents, toxic sisters, brothers. You certainly cannot disown them. Now, some people have walked away and they say, you know what? If it's a lot healthier, no matter what the society says, I'm going to walk away for my own sanity. That's a very difficult decision to make, right? So is limit the interaction. That person poisons your life on a daily basis. Make it poisonous on a monthly basis.
True.
Or on a quarterly basis.
Or yearly
on certain
basis.
occasions. Just limit the interaction.
True.
Because our guilt, social norms sometimes could work against us. So if you have a toxic somebody in your life, if you cannot eliminate them, try to limit as much as possible that interaction, because it's not your job to fix them. It's not your job to put them on the right path. If you make it your job, you're going to be as toxic as they are.
Yeah. They are so true because, even the God says in Quran that he doesn't change the condition of the people unless they change.
Right. Absolutely. God does not change anyone unless they decide to change themselves.
So knowing yourself, bringing a change in yourself, your own willingness is most important.
Yeah.
So you can't hold hand and change to anyone. So that's most important. So just limit your relationship, even the closest of relation, have the limitation and then move somewhere else where you get that to strengthen yourself, to grow yourself up. That's a good answer. Beautiful. Yeah. And I'm sure many people, those who asked me this question, they must have learned something out of it. Okay. We talked about, because you have got such a versatile experience in life, living in Lebanon, grew up there, then moved to US, you studied there, and you had been in forces, and you had been a pilot as well.
Yeah.
I would like to know something about that part of your life before we move on.
Well, I was born in Cairo, age of 6 months old. My parents divorced. I lived in Lebanon to the age of 13, 14 through this difficult period. And I went to the U.S. and in the U.S. I went to Lindsley Academy, and this is where remember what I was saying earlier, the environment that you're in. When I went to school in Lindsley Academy, I flourished, meaning that I didn't speak English. I was French educated in Arabic. My English was very poor. But that environment of discipline and focus, and where I felt like I can really realize my true potential. I graduated top of my class. I was ranked 7th in 6 states in tennis. I competed regionally in swimming. It's like I never knew I had this potential in me.
Right.
Yeah. So each transition for me was a milestone in my life that played a massive role. Like leaving my country, I thought was like, oh my God, leaving my country. But it was a necessary step where I was able to discover my full potential because I was placed in that environment.
Right.
So Lindsley Academy, Mr. Diorio, if you listen to this, amazing. Thank you so much. I speak about that all the time. I'm very grateful. And then when I decided to start my university, I decided to disconnect from my parents. I really did everything on my own. So I put myself through university. And that was, I'm going to be staunch. I'm going to rely on myself and I'm going to do this by myself. Was an interesting period as well. And it's a period where I learned what hardship is. I remember I would wake up in the morning, I would have these $10 in my hand. Do I eat or do I put gas to go to university? Those are the kind of decisions I had to make, you know?
Yeah.
And I think they were amazing. It's an amazing period, you know, when you look back and you see how it shaped you as an individual. And I never, ever victimized myself for whatever it was. Oh, it's because of this or because... Never. I'm never the victim, and I refuse to be the victim. So please, for me, if anybody is listening to this, whoever is listening to this, don't develop a victim mentality. You know, so all of those ups and downs, honestly, I'm so grateful for. I'm even grateful for the bottom of the barrel periods that in my life. I'm grateful for those because it made me more resilient. It made me more grateful, you know, and that's what life is. If anybody, you know, doesn't have any problems, I find that hard to believe. Everybody has one. We all have a problem.
Yeah.
Family or work, we all do. It's I call it the membership for life in the misery club. We all have that. But that's the beautiful thing about life.
True.
You know?
Yeah, not to let the victim mindset build in you, self-talk with a negative complaining all the time because of him, because of her, because of environment, because I didn't get education. No. Yeah. You have to have that resilience. You have to have that growth mindset. Yeah. You're willing to learn and improve every day. Only then you become what you are today.
Absolutely. And you know what? Just enjoy the life. Enjoy the journey. You know,
that's so true. It's just
live now.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful experience of life we have if we just learn how to enjoy every moment and every experience what we get. Alhamdulillah. We cannot say thank enough to what we have, you know. So this is a beautiful thing. You have also flown, like you're a pilot. So
I have.
Up to what level have you flown? Like what planes?
Yeah, I flew the 172 Skyhawks.
Okay.
And the 310 Cessnas, the twin engines.
Right.
So I've got about 300 hours of flight. And I went to flight school when I was I turned 18 in flight school. I was 17 on the first year. It was during the summer when I was not studying at Lindsley Academy. It was in the summer I went down to Fort Lauderdale, American Flyers, and I became a pilot. I remember it was after only 11 hours of instructor flight. My instructor, a young guy called Mike, who was 19 years old, and he was an instructor. He's been flying ever since he was like 9 with his father. Wow. They had airfields in their farm. This guy was brilliant. The previous instructor was a complete pain in the neck who make me so nervous. Like when we do these power off stalls and these dangerous maneuvers, this guy took all the fear from flying. So after about 10 and a half hours, he goes, I want you to land in this airport. It was a controlled airport, a tiny one outside of Fort Lauderdale with just one control tower and one runway. And I go, why? He goes, you're ready. I'm like, what do you mean I'm ready? He goes, you're ready. So he goes, drop me off at the control tower. I'm going to go with the guy in charge. And I want you to do 3 takeoff and landings, 1 crosswind, 1 3-point, you know. And I was so nervous. And I remember flying by myself and thinking to myself, I'm in the plane by myself. It's the most horrible. But then I landed and I was certified in my solo. And then I got my license after 40 hours and I got my other disciplines after that.
Brilliant. So, you didn't carry on? You didn't continue as a profession?
No, I couldn't. Look, because I decided to go on my own, I couldn't afford it. That's the only reason why.
Okay, all right.
I couldn't afford it.
Fair enough.
I wanted to become, honestly, one of the things I wanted to become was Top Gun Academy. I wanted to go. And I had a problem with my eyes. I was never qualified for it. But you know, we say something, لا تكرهوا شيئا لعله خير لكم. Means don't hate anything, might be good for you.
Yeah,
maybe
true.
If I didn't pursue that, I'll be doing something bad somewhere around the world. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Coming back to the corporate world, the professional life, and also what are the key skills needed for successful negotiation? Because wherever you are, negotiation in a professional setting.
Well, negotiate. We negotiate every day. Right?
Every day with everything.
Everything.
Yeah,
it's constant negotiation. But if you want to talk about negotiation in the sense of actual negotiating deals,
the professional setting.
Yeah,
how do you go about
negotiating deals, negotiating proposals, negotiating your job offer, whatever it is. There are certain. You said disciplines and certain skills, right? So number one is before we go into the technical aspect of negotiation, you have to have emotional intelligence, because great negotiators are emotionally intelligent. So EQ scores have to be super high, which you can work on in establishing. Influential communication, meaning that influential communication is the communication based on understanding the person that is in front of me. So is Dr. Kashif a detail-oriented person? Is he result-oriented? Is he introverted? Is he extroverted? What is his green button? What is his red button? You know what I mean? So when you understand personalities and communication preferences, then you'll be able to adapt to the personality and the communication preference that the person that you're negotiating with. So you know what words to use and what communication strategy to use. 3, is be a good listener. Like listen. And I mean listen. Don't listen to reply. Don't listen to understand, not to answer. And don't wait for your turn to talk. A lot of people do that. They're waiting for their turn to talk and they miss so much. So listening is incredible. So those are I think the core skills. Of course, communication all falls within the listening element. The next thing is the technicalities of negotiations. And a lot of people look at negotiations from the wrong perspective. They think that I'm going to negotiate and I'm going to try to win as much as possible, get something. It's not. That's win-lose, right? It's win-win. So how do we get to a common understanding? You win, I win. Anything. So you have to understand that negotiation is about win-win. Second is that preparation. Negotiation is not about how well you know your product and how we can give and take and how well you bargain. It's about how prepared you are. So there's a formula I say: negotiations minus preparation equals perspiration. If you go not prepared, I'm just going to go wing it, you're going to fail. Or if you don't fail, you're going to overpromise and underdeliver. Or you're going to agree on certain things that not really don't make any business sense, right? So quickly, crash course in negotiations. When you go to negotiation, there's a few things you have to be prepared for. It's called your batna, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. These are the most ideal terms and conditions. You're already prepared for those. You've gotten the approvals from your management. You've got the okay. And then your watna, what's your worst alternative to negotiate? What is the bottom line that I cannot go below? Anything in between. Because you're prepared with watna and the batna, it's called the zopa, the zone of possible agreement. Because you have already gotten the approval, that's the best price you can give, that's the bottom line price, these are the terms and conditions we can agree. Then anything in between, you say, right, it's your bargaining chips. If I give you this, then you'll give me that, and can we agree on that? So this is where the bargaining happens. So true. But you need to be prepared. Then you have your WAP, your walk away position. You need to understand, when do you just walk away? Know that point where you just simply walk away. So those are the sort of quick, what negotiations 101.
Brilliant. This is so beautiful. Yeah, I understand these abbreviation you mentioned about the batna, watna, zone, zona, zopa, and the WAP. So could you just tell one by one what batna is?
Best alternative to a negotiated agreement.
Okay.
Watna is the worst alternative to a negotiated agreement.
Okay.
Zopa is ZOPA, zone of possible agreement.
Right.
And WAP is walkaway position.
You should know this before you go for any negotiation.
Absolutely. So remember I said, negotiation is preparation. Know your dossier, prepare all possible solutions. Make sure that you have all of those options in your ZOPA. So you can just get and say, okay, so now it's just a matter of give and take and bargaining. So you're not stuck in the situations where you go, let me go check with my management, let's review. The iron is no longer hot.
Yeah.
you might lose the deal.
True, exactly. Its timing is so important.
100%.
I still remember on my first ever business trip when my first market was given to me while I was based in Dubai, and my manager, he told me that you're going to Egypt, your country. So I was in Cairo and I had to make this first ever deal. I had to click it, which was not clicking for last 5 years. No business, stopped completely because both of them hard hit. Nobody is accepting. Okay, fine. My boss said, I'm going to give you the first market and try to build this business, open it up. There is a, just some kind of a blockage.
Yeah.
I said, he already taught me all the techniques, what to do and how to do. When I went there, so I had, first of all, empathy. I wanted to know his problem. Before I tell you why you're not buying, you're a distributor, 5 years, no business, I'm going to cut you today.
What's going on? What are your challenges? Tell me, let's talk about it. Yeah.
So beautiful. I asked him, he said, the prices what you give me, they're not workable in Egypt market. So I said, what do you want from me? So he said, if you adjust not that much, little bit, still is going to be. I said, okay, tell me, what is your little bit? He explained about his little bit. Yeah. Then I said, okay, fine, if I just go and cut the prices, I'm sure my management, my boss is not going to accept it. So let's make a deal.
Yeah.
I'm going to play on a quantity with you. What about you increase the quantity for 5 containers? Let's start with that. Yeah. He said, I can do that if you adjust this much. I said, okay, 0.5, 0.25.
That's the bargaining. Once you know what you batna, you watna.
Here you go.
Then you have the if-thens. This is when you can give and take. Absolutely.
And this negotiation went so well. We opened up this market. I had such the GM of the Egypt market, he called to my boss and he said, what, this young fellow came and he negotiated the price and he reduced. Why did he do that? Yeah. He said, but he did the right thing. Yeah. He started up the business, resumed it.
Sure.
And first year, $2 million.
Amazing.
Closed market for 5 years. How much we missed.
Yeah.
So sometimes not thinking like, oh, I'm not going to go back. No, that's my policy. Just give it a room, ask what he can do, what you can take from him.
Yeah. One of my favorite workshops that I really enjoy delivering is strategic sales techniques and consultative selling techniques and negotiations.
Beautiful.
Where I talk about how do you overcome objections and how do you understand what smoke screens are and what is the salami technique that I use. And it's all about these beautiful little tiny tips that really help because people are not accustomed to real negotiations. People are accustomed to bargaining, haggling.
Yeah, here you go.
Haggling. Oh, no, it's not the right price. Oh, okay, no, you produce. Okay, it's too expensive. Then the other party is really twisting your arm.
Yeah, right.
You can't do that. No. You have to learn. And when you use those little nuances and little tips, it actually works. And a lot of people say, oh my God, they go, Hayssam, actually your tips and technique works. We only thought they belong in the books. But, try and you try different things and you see what works. Yeah.
That's so true. As you mentioned now, of course, negotiation is part of our life, everyday life, in 100%. Every place, every position. How can young professionals negotiate for a better salary or promotion is going to help them?
You need to understand your worth and your value. And don't ever feel you're entitled for a raise or promotion unless you have earned it. So there's many different facets to this. When you go and ask for a raise, you have to understand and you have to bring in a bit of muscle with you. What you brought to the tables, your passive achievements, and what are you going to achieve in that new position? What's your plan? What are those commitments? Come prepared, right? Number 2, come prepared with a suggestion. If you're a manager who wants another promotion, make sure that you come prepared along with that is who's going to take your place. There's a story I often talk about, the way I was getting promoted very, very quickly in the hospitality industry is because every time I got a position, I would identify 3 employees as my successors.
Right.
So the minute I get the position, I say, okay, I go, guys, I'm selecting you because you are the top performers. One of you will get my job. These are the rules of engagement. No backstabbing. You work together as a team and you earn that position. I'm going to support you and coach you because the next time something's available, one of you is going to get my job. Got it? So what I do is I coach them, I mentor them.
Yeah.
And I make them potential leaders. right? And I document all of that. And the next time there was a position, I go to my GM and say, hey, boss, what's up? I said, I need this. He goes, yeah, but who's going to take your place? There you go. I got 3 people. One of them is going to take this position. Now, before I go to my manager, I sit down with the 3 people and I say, right, guys, it's that time. I'm going to ask for another job. Who do you think deserves the job? Now, when you have been a great manager and you're a great coach and a mentor, about 90% of the time, you know what happens? 2 people agree on the person. Like, so let's say, okay, John and David, you go, John, David, yeah, I think Mike should get it because, you know, he really deserves it because they've worked together and they all prove their worth. 90% of the time, 2 will agree on that person. And the 10% where they don't agree, I make that executive decision based on some given. These are your tasks. This is your performance. These are the reviews. I think David is going to get it. And I go to my manager. I say, I've got a successor. How is that? Look at their track record. Look at their files. They're ready for this position. Position is yours. So don't just feel that you deserve it, because you need to be responsible for who's going to fill your place. Otherwise, you creating a vacuum. So always think, and this is why great leaders are great, because great leaders make other great leaders. If you want to move forward in life, make sure that somebody, 1 or 2 or 3 people that you're going to mentor, you're going to make them as great leaders. And that gives you the opportunity to catapult yourself to the next level, rather than sit in the chair and holding it so dearly. And essentially, you're building a wall around you. Yeah. So that's my advice.
Again, here comes your growth mindset, because unless you don't have it, you are not ready to leave this position to move forward.
You're going to be a dinosaur, man.
Yeah, and you have to be a risk taker as well.
Absolutely.
If you're not willing to take that risk, preparing someone to take your position, and if you're always afraid, he shouldn't take my position, where I'm going to go.
Absolutely.
You have to grow yourself up as well on the ladder. That's beautiful. How can young professionals, these days what's happening, people in their lifestyle, once they get into something, computer, IT, just busy in that, 100% focus, that's fine. But the whole life is around that. So how can young professionals balance ambitious career goals with maintaining a healthy work-life balance?
I don't think there's a such. I'm going to throw you a curveball. I don't think there's such a thing as work-life balance. I don't think it exists. I tell you what I mean by that. When we are just starting out in our career, the balance is your social life and your friends and your job, right? And as you move up to middle management and upper middle management, that balance shifts. Less time with family, less time with friends, and more time on your job, because it's a necessary transition. So when you're starting out, by all means, focus on your family, focus on your friends, more so on friends in your social life. But as you start to rise up and go through the ranks and climb the ladder, there's going to be a disruption in that balance. So it's going to shift towards putting more times in the office, putting more effort in your career if you're employed, or in your business if you decided to be self-employed. But then at some point, when you achieve and when you have a clear plan, and when you are working effectively on a right strategy with the right plan, learning from mistakes and rising up from challenges, and then when you do it right, guess what happens again? That balance shifts again. It becomes more about your family, more about reaping the fruits of your labor, and you end up in a position where you can choose how much time you want to work. You can choose how much time you want to spend with your family. So I think it all depends which area in your life you are in, which stage of your career. So for me, at the end of the day, of course, you can, whatever stage you're in, can you establish certain disciplines? Yeah, you can. I mean, if you're a disciplined person, then you say, right, I'm going to stop working. I'm not going to bring work home with me. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to spend time with the family. I'm going to do more quality time than quantity time. There are certain decisions that you can make, but it all depends what you want out of life. And I'm not against people say, I'm just going to stay an accountant for the rest of my life because I like it. Then that's fine. Be an accountant for the rest of your life. But you better be the most awesome accountant ever.
Yeah.
You know, you better be like the best accountant in the world if you want to stay an accountant for the rest of your life. Don't be the same accountant you were 10 years ago and the same accountant you are now. It's like, what? Then that for me is just unacceptable. So I have no issue of people being where they are for a long time, as long as they continuously become an expert at what they do. And then that's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very
Nothing
nice.
against accountants. I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah. No. Okay, this is against accountants, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, the accountant has to improve. He has to also learn. He has to learn with the technology, not to just do the bookkeeping on the books. Otherwise, he's not growing. I've seen like young ones, mostly like once they are involved into something, mostly the creative people, they are just in front of computers, laptop, busy, creativity. Agree. How about some sort of a sports for you? How about focusing something on your physique as well, you know?
Yeah.
You don't forget about that.
Yeah.
That's kind of thing which you have to bring that the part of your life, I believe. You know?
Yes. And this is what I'm saying is that if you want to become disciplined and you're not a disciplined person, then establish routines.
Right.
You know, like structure yourself. What I mean by like, you know what time you're going to wake up, you know how much, and then just take a break for some good food, healthy food. Take a break from a little bit of exercise. It's establishing a routine. Oh, I don't like the word routine. I'm going to call them rituals.
Rituals, yeah.
A ritual becomes a little bit more acceptable. When you say routine, routine comes with the word
boring.
It's boring. So establish these rituals and reward yourself at the end of these rituals. So if you say, if I do 10,000 steps today, I'm going to reward myself with something. You know what I mean? So put in the reward system to keep yourself always motivated to do something that you usually don't like to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Coming to the executives, young executives embarking into the new career, new life, what strategies do you recommend? Because they all go through the pressure once they get into a new life, because they're coming from the student life, moving into the new career, new profession. So the strategies do you recommend by preventing burnout in high pressure environment?
Yeah, burnout is a very tricky thing. It catches you when you least expect it. Burnout is not being tired. It's not about being tired. Burnout becomes a lot more ingrained in your psyche and in your patience. You know, so one of the things you need to be careful of to avoid this burnout is recognize those symptoms early. Right. You know, because for me, I burnt out last month. Honestly, it's because I do what 14 countries every 4 months. I'm traveling 23 days a month. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm in my training room at 8:30. I'm full energy till 4:30. I go back to the hotel. I'm online doing my coaching sessions, and I'm on. And to be honest with you, it doesn't feel like hard work. So a lot of people say, aren't you tired? I go, of course I'm tired, but I'm not tired of it. Yeah. So I really overlooked the signs of burnout. Insomnia, irritability, impatience, forgetfulness. And honestly, I did not look at these. And for somebody in my position who's trained to look at these things, it's amazing how when it happens to you, you don't see it, but you can see it in others. So when I ignored these, I literally broke down. So I was a lot more irritable. Arguments with my wife increased. My decision-making process was very poor. My focus, my creativity, where I need to sit down and design a little content or simply write a 15-minute speech that I used to do with like not even thinking about it became a tedious task. So learn to be easy on yourself. Learn to identify. And the minute you see this, take some time to rest. Take some time to sort of, even if you just isolate yourself for a little bit, just to rest and to recharge. So what I did was I said, okay, that's enough. I'm going to take a vacation. I took a little vacation for 5 days. I went to the Maldives with my daughter and connected with her. And we just did nothing but just sit in the sun. And those 5 days of just complete disconnect and really eating healthy and walking a lot and stuff like that reignites you. So that's what I'm saying is find a reward system. You know, reward yourself when you work hard. Step away from your routine and identify those symptoms that could really, really then kick you in the back without you realizing. Be easy on yourself. Treat yourself with love and and be very grateful to the energy that you have now, because 55, 60, 65, you're not going to have that energy. You better have the energy to live a good life, you know.
Very nice. In order for the young ones, those who are watching, not to get burned out and tired with our conversation, let's keep it a little bit light. And now my section. My segment is quick riddle segment.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a
not
quick
good with riddles,
riddle. Let's see. I speak without a mouth and I hear without ears. What am I?
I speak without a mouth and I hear without ears.
What am I?
Oh my God. I know this was a very easy one. Is it thoughts?
Is it what?
Thoughts? No? Because your thoughts can speak to you, right? And your thoughts can become ears by what you hear around you. I don't know. Good. I'm horrible at riddles. Go ahead. What is it?
Okay, that's echo.
Oh, yeah, of course. I've heard that one before. Of course, yeah, an echo. Okay, I'm being maybe too philosophical with my answer. Okay.
So we wanted to make it lighter for the young ones, and not bringing to the thought process again.
All right. That's the one. Again, another one. Yeah.
Okay, what I'm going to ask you is not the next riddle, but the next question about the future of work and technology, because this is also. So I'm going to ask you, what trends do you see shaping the future of work, and how can young professionals prepare for them? Specifically, now we talk about the AI. Before we talk about computer, this and that. Now, AI, you know? So how you think?
Big fan.
Yeah, big fan, right?
A lot of people say, oh, AI is big fan. Like, for example, did we have mobile phones 15 years ago?
No.
Imagine if we did, how productive we would have been.
Yeah.
Do we have applications? Do we have the... So it is a natural progression. Having AI is a tool. Now, is AI going to replace us? No, it's not.
No.
AI is going to replace people who don't know how to use AI.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So for me, the best thing you can do is get on that train.
How do they prepare?
Not only for the young people, it's going to be easy for them.
Yeah.
The young people are going to say, hey, I've got AI. They're going to be a lot better at it than us. But I think it is us who need to be on that train. The young people are already on it.
Yeah.
So yes, use every possible technology available to you.
True.
Use AI to make you better, but use it responsibly and know how to be able to prompt it, understand how AI thinks, so you don't become a slave to it. So in order for you to be smarter than AI, you have to prompt it in a smart way, in an intelligent way, to challenge both you and to try over and over again. Like when I do prompting for ChatGPT, I get the first prompt, it sounds great. I mean, it can really fool you. Oh my God, all of this, it saved me 6 hours of work. But then I go, okay, let me prompt it from a different perspective.
Right.
So I do 3 different prompts from different perspectives and using different terminology, and every time it gives you something different.
Nice.
And this is where you need to really practice it. So really the ability to communicate with AI is very, very important. So my advice, to go back to your question, is yes, this is something that's going to help you a lot. And it's for us also, our generation, that needs to be on that train.
How much we have seen in our life.
Oh my God.
You know, we are the generation that the most we have seen so far. So garbage in, garbage out. So the prompt, what you put in, this is what you're going to get. So how can embracing technology and digital tools enhance career prospects and growth?
Well, we're just talking about it now. So for me is just like people who don't like to use or who don't like to use technology. Yeah. It means they are dinosaurs and they're not really moving along with times. Embracing technology is important. I think the question is how is by being in the know as much as possible. Being in the know, understand what those the right technology, because you can't really learn about everything. Right. You don't have to master them. My team does. If my team mastered them and I can use that, fine. Yeah. Do I master ChatGPT? Absolutely. I'm learning and I'm continuously learning. So yes, I'm a big proponent for technology and productivity tools and whatever, and AI, and absolutely. Just make sure that you proudly announce that, because a lot of people feel that using these technologies is a bit cheating. Yeah. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, it's not.
Definitely.
You're being smart by using it the right way.
Right, right. Now we're getting closer towards closing of our podcast. Right. So before we don't let you go so fast.
Okay.
Still, even for the closing, I have certain things to ask you.
Yeah, it's been like 3 hours almost, right?
Wow. It seems like. Yeah. So it's just a reflective question to you.
Sure.
If you could give one piece of advice for someone starting their career today, what would it be?
Do something that you want to do, not what people want you to do, especially in our culture. Have to be a doctor because my parents want me to do a doctor. Have to be, you know what I mean? Do something, follow your heart. I love doing this. In order for me to be this artist, this creator, this whatever, what do I need to turn it into a business? Does the world need it? What am I bringing to the table? Is there any financial viability to it? How can I turn that to sustain me and my family? You have to put together a plan. A wish without a plan is a dream.
Yeah. So think, plan, execute.
100%.
If you want to reach somewhere.
Yeah.
Where can our audience they learn more about your workshops, your coaching, and your book, ACE, which we didn't talk about, and your service?
I'm on social media. Both my company and me, I'm on social media. It's Hayssam Al Amine, Hayssam, Al Amine, Alamine. So I'm on all platforms. And then there's RPM Consultancy. You can learn. Right. You can also go to our website. It's rpmconsultancy.com. I'm easily accessible on all of those platforms. If people are interested to watch more, my YouTube channel is quite populated.
We share all the links below. So if you guys want to contact, so everything is in there. Go to the YouTube channel, check Instagram, everything, and you will be in touch with Hayssam. Hayssam Al Amine, thank you so much for sharing your insights today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kashif, for being here. I really enjoyed it. I didn't feel the time. It's an indicator that it was a nice conversation. So thank you very much. Wish you the best of luck. And
my
hope
pleasure.
to do this again.